Hello everybody, Mr. Price here, continuing our read aloud for the day. We have been introduced to most of the main characters of the story so far, of True Sort of by Catherine Hannigan. We met Deli and her younger brother RB and the rest of her family members. We were introduced to that character in the Green Impala a little bit, and then the boy that's obsessed with basketball and has that stutter. So we're continuing with chapter 12 and picking up with Deli. Deli spent Sunday on the front porch, staying in one spot like Clarice had suggested. She sat on the steps, spinning her head so she wouldn't miss anything. All the while her mouth was mumbling, "Come on, come on, come on," even when she ate her meals. After lunch, Arby sat down beside her. "What are you doing?" "Waiting for my present." "Come on," she answered. Arby thought for a minute. "Are you grounded for fighting with Gal?" With her head twirling like that, it was hard to tell if she was nodding. "Dell?" She stopped for a second. "We moved around too much yesterday," she explained. "I'm staying here so the present can find me." "Oh." Arby watched her head whirl for a while, but it wasn't any fun. "I'm going," he told her. Without Deli, though, there wasn't much to do. He threw rocks at the side of the house till Clarice yelled, "Who's hitting my house?" He was picking up worms with a stick when the idea came to him. "I'll bring it to her," he breathed. "Deli, is this your present?" he said as he stuck a half-eaten candy bar in her face. Deli waited for the tingle to tell. "Nope," she told him, and went back to mumbling. After a while he returned. "Is this it?" It was Tallahassee's trick quarter. "No," she sighed. He found it under the back porch. He covered it with a cloth and carried it to her. "Deli! Deli! Deli!" He was bouncing on the step and singing. Her head quit swinging. "What about this?" He pulled the cloth away, and there it was, a squirrel carcass. There was no fur on it, just dark skin stretched over bones with a tail sticking out. Deli sucked in air so she whistled. "A Ball-Gram squirrel, Mummy," she whispered. She touched the skin with her finger. "Well, is it? Is it? Is it?" RB grinned. Deli closed her eyes and wished for the tingle. Because the squirrel was as good as any present she ever got. She waited and waited. Nothing happened. When she opened her eyes, she didn't say anything. RB covered it up again. "I'll save it for you," he said. "You go play with Cletus," she rasped, because it hurt watching him lose hope, too. "You sure?" he asked. Her head twirled. All the way to Cletus's, RB chanted, "Come on, come on, come on." It was dark when Clarice came to get her. "Deli, time for bed," she called. "Come on, can't, come on," she replied. If she got up, the hope would go for good. Clarice sat beside her. "Deli," she said softly, "I know you want us a present, but you don't need one. You got good all around you." She put her hands out like she was holding it for her. Deli shook her head hard because she knew about the good all around her. She needed to know there was good in her. She needed something in the world to say, "Deli Pattison, you're not just trouble. Here's a present for you to prove it." "Ma, I'm..." She tried to tell her, but there wasn't a word or feeling, so sad and close to hopeless. "I'm tired." She sighed and got up off the sleep. "Good night, Deli," Clarice told her. "Good night," she said, because that's all it was. And that brings us to chapter 13. That night, Deli didn't get us her present. Sleep brought her something, though, because in the morning she came downstairs with a smirk. Walking to school, RB asked her, "You okay?" "Oh yeah," she sneered, "because I got good all around me." "Who needs a present with all this good around me?" she went on, kicking the sidewalk. "No more waiting and hoping for me, RB. I'm going to grab the good around me." She swiped the air. RB just watched her. At the school entrance, Deli held the door. "Go on," she told him. So he did. When he got to his classroom, Arby turned to tell his sister, "See ya!" But there was no sister to be seen. "Oh," he gasped and headed for the door, till Ms. Niederbaum nabbed him. "Your room's this way," she said, and steered him back. From his desk, Arby stared out the window. "Oh, Deli," he whispered. Weekday mornings, Norm at the IGA made donuts. She made vanilla glaze with nuts, maple glaze with coconut, chocolate with chocolate icing, and chocolate sprinkles. Those days, the air around the IGA smelled so good, you'd want to eat it. Deli peeked to make sure Norma wasn't at the checkout, then headed straight for the donut case. She greeted them. She grabbed a sack and filled it with a dozen Delilicious delights. Vern Teeter rang her up at the register. "You having a party?" "Something like that," Deli smirked. "Better hurry," he warned her, "or you'll be late for school." "Oh, I will," she promised. She ran out of the IGA and raced to the river. It wasn't 2 minutes till she was sitting under the River Road Bridge, deciding which donut to devour first. "Triple chocolate," she declared. "Ma's right," she said, and she snatched it out of the sack. "I don't need a present. I got a Deli present." With Deli presents, there'd be no more waiting, no worrying if she was good enough. "Perfectorific," she proclaimed. With the river rolling by and the sun shining on her, she raised the donut in the air. "Good all around me," she grinned and took a bite. "Good in me, too," she said, spitting chocolate chunks. Clayton Fitch was on his way to the IGA when Deli dashed by him. It wasn't a minute till he was on the phone with Officer Tibbets. "Marina," he squawked, "that Patterson's run into the river." Officer Tibbets hung up before he could finish. Deli wouldn't be celebrating alone. It wasn't 3 minutes till the policewoman had parked the cruiser by the bridge. There was half a donut hanging out of Deli's mouth when she ordered, "Drop it, Delaware." "What the glove," she muttered, and the donut plopped to the ground. Officer Tibbets seized the bag. "You won't need these where you're going." She grabbed the girl's arm. Deli was too stunned to struggle. The policewoman led her to the cruiser. She put her in back, behind the bars. "But it was perfectorific," Deli mumbled, as they drove to school with the siren screaming. We're going to read chapter 14 today as well. Lionel Terwilliger taught the 5th grade, including Deli. He liked big words and called everybody Ms. or Mr. What Deli liked about Lionel Terwilliger, though, was that he never shamed her. When she was in trouble, he'd bend down beside her and whisper, "Miss Patterson, there's an issue we need to discuss." Then he'd tell her what she'd done wrong. Deli always listened. Somehow she always messed up again. Still, she was never just trouble to Lionel Terwilliger. So when Ms. Niederbaum brought Deli to the classroom and told him, "Delaware's joining us after all," he said, "Miss Patterson, your presence is always appreciated." Deli was still in shock. She stared at the floor, seeing river and rocks instead. "We have a new student," he told her. Since you missed introductions, I'll present you now." Lionel Terwilliger put his hand on Deli's shoulder, and that made her look up. He raised his arm, and Deli's eyes followed it. To a boy. The Paul Graham no-present boy. "Miss Delaware Patterson," he announced. "This is Miss Ferris Boyd." Deli didn't say it to be mean. She said it because, after being wrong about everything else, she was right about this. "That's no miss," she announced. "That's a boy." Right away there were giggles. Danny DeVella laughed out loud. Bright red ran up the boy's neck and covered his face. "This is Miss Boyd," Lionel Terwilliger insisted. "But Miss Patterson," he boomed. "That is enough." And Deli heard it in his voice. Now she was just trouble to Lionel Terwilliger, too. "Please be seated," he said sternly. Deli shuffled to her seat and slumped into it. The feeling bad was back, full blast. It pounded her with bad, wrong, trouble, all morning long. When the recess bell rang, Deli didn't hurry. As she slouched past his desk, Lionel Terwilliger called to her. "Miss Patterson?" She trudged over. There is information I shared with the class before Miss Boyd arrived, which you need to know. He said, no warmth in his words. First, Miss Boyd does not speak. What the? She mumbled. His hand went up. She can hear, but she does not speak. In addition, she must not be touched. Deli dropped her head. Now he thought she was so bad she did a no-talking girl. I wouldn't fight her, she muttered. I was not suggesting you would strike Miss Boyd, he replied. She must not be touched by anyone. Is that understood? Deli nodded. You may go. He dismissed her. But she had to tell Lionel Terwilliger, who hadn't given up on her till today. I didn't mean to. Delaware? He stopped her. Then he said softly, I know. Deli looked up. Despite your intentions, however, you injure others. You must learn to... Deli watched his mouth, waiting for the words. How could she stop the trouble? How could she be good? Instead, he sighed. He couldn't help her. She slunk outside to recess. And that is where we're going to stop today, ladies and gentlemen. I hope that you guys enjoyed the chapters. Remember to complete your exit ticket. Have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye now.